Hello and welcome to the channel, it's Erad. We've got a lot of things to talk about today, including, of course, the roadmap, which got updated for Star Citizen Alpha 3.23. It's not a big update, but nevertheless, I think that people who are enjoying photorealism, the visual aspect of Star Citizen are going to be happy with what we're going to be seeing. And this is quite a bombshell here that Chad McKinney dropped as well on Spectrum. That is also something that we'll be talking about. But first things first, guys, we are going to get an update on volumetric clouds. Yes, and they are going to improve the technology to improve overall visual quality and performance, including the addition of both volumetric shadows. So I suppose that's going to be shadows in clouds. I suppose that's what's going to be, as well as the implementation of ground fog. Yes, that is going to bring such an eerie feeling to all the places that we're going to go to. It's also going to further enhance the visual experience of Star Citizen. I cannot wait to be trying this out. I think that we've seen some of that tech, or at least a preview of that tech, in the demo of Star Engine that we saw in CitizenCon last year, and this is basically the concretization of what we saw coming up in Star Citizen Alpha 3.23. That is good news. Next, image upscaling here. We're going to have further support for GPU upscaling, including DLSS, FSR, and also an in-house TSR solution. I have no idea what that is, but it sounds awesome, and it's going to make Star Citizen look more beautiful, and that's all. I'm all for that, right? I suppose that we're going to have to wait in the PTU to check this out by ourselves. And that's basically it here. 3.23 has had a first patch for the Evo Caddy, not really about features, but more the stability of the patch itself. Apparently, it was not stable at all, but it's a first try, a first iteration, and obviously there's going to be more to come. But what we need to be talking about here is this bombshell from Chad McKinney. Where is this coming from? Now, for those of you who don't know, Chad McKinney is one of the senior developers at Cloud Imperium Games. I think he works on like engineering and systems, not the gameplay engineering, but the whole engineering for the game itself. And here, this is what he said. Following a thread from Complex Ghost 2 about the future of bed logging, who was asking about whether or not this is going to be a feature that will be updated and how this is going to be improved as we progress through the development of the game. And Chad McKinney said that they've had lots of people asking me to follow up on the question here, which is fair since he rolled into the topic to clarify a tangential question. And so they are looking at what they know and the vision for 1.0. Yes, he said it right here. The vision for 1.0, Star Citizen 1.0. We're not talking about Star Citizen Alpha 4.0. We're talking about Star Citizen version 1. And they are already talking and planning Star Citizen version 1. That is what we're talking about here, which is really interesting because, we're seeing a lot of game-changing features coming up with Star Citizen Alpha 3.23. And, of course, server meshing is tested by the Evo Caddies. They've already had a test before. We're going to have another test coming up tomorrow. And all of this is making me think that, what if 4.0 is just going to be a formality? 4.0 just being, server meshing, the introduction of a power system, but then gradually we're going to get more Star System coming in into Star Citizen, which is going to eventually lead to the minimal viable product, which is going to be Star Citizen 1.0, and that's what they're talking about here. So they said that the way bed logging works in the game isn't going to fit the vision of Star Citizen 1.0. But really more fundamentally, bed logging itself doesn't entirely fit them. So that's what it said here. They don't want to talk about the specific right now, but they do say that eventually there's going to be a more ambitious system when it comes to logging in. And that definitely makes sense because right now, when you log in, you can only be alone in your ship. You have to be far away from whatever you are. But what if you are doing some multi-crew in a very large ship? It just doesn't make any sense. Plus, they also say that with server meshing, bed logout is going to be significantly different there. So that's why they need to revisit the system, redesign it so that it is working properly with server meshing, as well as the vision of the game that server meshing is going to be bringing as well. When it comes to persistent hubs, hangars, and player-created bays, multiple solar systems, and more, that is what we're going to be getting further down the line once we're going to get Star Citizen 1.0. And so there's going to be plenty of ways to log out and not just inside the bed of our ships right here. So we're not going to be seeing any changes in 3.23 though, but on the road to Star Citizen 1.0, this is one of the things that they are going to be looking at in the future. And there's some people, of course, who absolutely get their mind blown. Like, what do you mean the Star Citizen Alpha 1.0? Like, what? Star Citizen 1.0? It's not even Alpha, it's 1.0. And yes, they said that internally they are very focused on Star Citizen 1.0. It's their primary goal now. We're not talking about Star Citizen 4.0 anymore. We're talking about Star Citizen version 1.0, the released version of Star Citizen. And I think that's really it's not the first time that we hear. I think that Todd Pappy did talk about Star Citizen 1.0 a while back, I think once, right? But it's a trend that we're seeing. The top developers at CIG are talking about Star Citizen 1.0 more and more, and we are going to be hearing more of that because eventually we're going to move forward to that release date of Star Citizen 1.0 once the core mechanics are there, once the core technologies are there, and they are being tested by the Evocators right now. So we're getting closer and closer, and that's why I guess now we're starting to see that talk about Star Citizen 1.0. So yeah, they said that right now that what they are doing is planning, and also what they're going to be needing to hit the vision that they have for Star Citizen 1.0. They don't want to go into specific release dates, of course, but this is something that they have talked about right now, and they did talk about the critical parts that are needed for the vision for Star Citizen 1.0, and server meshing is one of them. So there we have it, guys. A really interesting take here from Chad McKinney, and I think that it's going to be a hint here as of what we should be expecting for maybe this year's SeasonCon, because when this year's SeasonCon will be out, the SeasonCon happening in Manchester in October, right? Well, Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 should have been out already, so I think that this year's SeasonCon is probably going to be about Squadron 42. We are going to get a release date for Squadron 42 because it's feature complete right now. They're working on polishing it. So the next phase is announcing a release date. That's what it's going to be. And maybe the plan after Star Citizen Alpha 4.0, which will have been released by then, and the road to Star Citizen 1.0, which is eventually the release of Star Citizen. That's what we're talking about now. It's 2024. Project's been going on for 12 years now. Of course, we're going to be starting to talk about the release of the game. And I'm pretty sure that we'll be hearing about that more in the future. Guys, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. A big shout out to the people who did follow me today on the live stream, as well as Playing Catch Up Gamer who did subscribe on Twitch. That is much appreciated. Also, a big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube supporters who help the channel as well, including Dr. Fabian, Zero Crusher, Deplorable Fidel, and Ducky to Ducker. I have been Erad. I'll see you guys in the next one.